Hello, everyone. Welcome to behind the scenes recording of our 52nd live show, courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library. This is your host, Mark Torres of It Came From the Radio speaking. I'm here with a very own Fishy Sarcasms, Dominic Definition Masperano.
Hello, and once again, I am jealous of Jen's background image because mine is just boring.
And we have from The Life with Genergy, Jenny Feldy.
Good evening.
And we have our special guest we're going to be talking to with and about, which is awesome because he's here. We have author Roland Allnach.
Hello, how you doing?
All right, so this is actually being live streamed on the East Meadow Public Library site, Facebook page, if I'm not mistaken, and it's going to be recorded and it will be sent to our YouTube page afterwards. So without further ado, here we
go.
I could do with some more ado.
The following is brought to you in part by MFC Studios. The views of the show's host and guests do not necessarily reflect those of the management, owners, or staff of this radio station. And now, it came from the radio.
Come here.
Yapatoy, and welcome once again to It Came From the Radio, the official Big Apple Con. This is your host, Mark Torres, speaking. With me for our 52nd live show, courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library, in front of a live studio audience, virtually distancing, of course, is none other than The Life with Energy's Jenny Feldy.
Good evening. Stay warm, everybody.
And we have Fishy Sarcasms, Dominic Definition Masperano.
If I knew that it was like a pet show, I would have brought my dog down. He's cute.
And we have our special guest who we're talking to with and about, which is awesome because he's here. We have author Roland Allnach.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
So as I mentioned before, this is our 52nd live show, courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library, which is www.eastmeadow.info, where they have tons of free programming, both virtually and in person, one of which is our show. And so we're going to be talking with Roland in just a moment. But before we do that, we have to take it away with the news. The news is brought to you in part by the fine folks of sci-fi.radio. That's sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. As well as the fine folks at Cosmic Comics and Games of Bulba, New York, your one-stop shop for comics and collectibles. Give Chuck a call at 516-763-1133. And also the show is brought to you in part by the fine folks at the Big Apple Con, of which we are the official radio show of, celebrating 25 years, well now 26, I guess that still counts as over, of comic book stuff and pop culture news. For more information, go to www.bigapplecc.com. Their next convention is scheduled for the 29th of January. So this will probably air that week. If not, it already happened. So that is the Big Apple Trading Card Show. If not, you go to www.bigapplecc.com for more tickets for their regular convention. All right, so let's start off with the news. As always, we start off with the sad news. Let's see. Legendary award-winning actor and director Sidney Poitier died recently from natural causes. Sidney starred in such films as Cry the Beloved Country, Red Ball Express, Blackboard Jungle, The Defiant Ones, Porgy and Bess, A Raisin in the Sun, Lilies of the Field, The Greatest Story Ever Told, To Sir with Love, In the Heat of the Night, and its sequel, They Call Me Mr. Tibbs, and The Organization, the original Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, Buck and the Preacher, which he also directed, Uptown Saturday Night, which he also directed, Let's Do It Again, which he also directed, A Piece of the Action, which he also directed, Shoot to Kill, Little Nakia, Separate but Equal, Sneakers, and The Jackal, just to name a few. In addition, Sidney just directed films such as Stir Crazy, which I did not know he directed, that classic film. Fast forward, and of all things, he directed the movie Ghost Dad with Bill Cosby.
Oh, wow.
Well,
are you familiar with Sidney's work, Dominic?
of course. I can't say that I was a massive fan in terms of like I'd always watch his movies constantly, but the man, I don't think it's shy to say at all that he was and will remain to be a cultural treasure. I believe he's the first Black gentleman to receive an Oscar. He is a groundbreaking figure. He is he was a morally rich, intellectual, articulate, wonderfully kind-hearted person from everything I've ever heard. And
I
it's a shame that
agree.
he's not with us anymore.
And he was a really good actor.
On top of all that, fantastic actor. And you know what? He's Mr. Tibbs.
Yes. So Jenny, are you familiar with Sidney Poitier? I'm afraid to ask.
Yeah. I know. I'm never familiar with anyone. I just he's everyone's ghost dad now, you know? He's passed on and now he can be all our dads.
Wow.
He's
all
my
right.
dad and he's your dad too.
Roland, you're a fan of Sidney's work?
You know, I can't say that I've seen you know, all his movies, not you know, fully versed in his filmography, but the thing that has always impressed me with Sidney Poitier is, especially in today's culture and information overload and lack of barriers, is he presented always with class, dignity, culture, and there was never a slip. So you know it was genuine.
Right.
So he is
Right.
the genuine article.
Exactly.
And
More like that.
Obviously, yeah, as you know, had been mentioned, an incredible groundbreaker, which I'm glad that was brought to light, unfortunately, in his passing. But I think in today's world that maybe that was overlooked somewhat for a while as to how many barriers he broke and what an accomplishment it was for him to build the career that he had. So truly, you know, a life to be respected.
Yeah. He was a young 94 years old. So let's see. We have even more sad news. Writer, director, actor, and producer Peter Bogdanovich also died recently from complications of Parkinson's disease. Peter worked on such films as Voyage to the Planet of Prehistoric Women, The Last Picture Show, What's Up, Doc, Paper Moon, Saint Jack, Mass with Cher, Noises Off, which I love that movie, She's Funny That Way, 54, The Definition of Insanity, The Fifth Patient, Abandoned, The Telltale Heart, 6 LA Love Stories, It Chapter 2, Bella Mafia, Sopranos, and Get Shorty the series, just to name a few. He was 82. I've only known a couple of those movies, but I didn't know, I've heard his name floating around a lot in the interworld of the universe, and I did not know that he was associated with some of those movies that I've watched. Dominic, you're familiar with any of his work?
I've seen him act more than I am aware of his. I
Directing?
knew that he was directing, but can't say I've definitely watched movies he's directed. But I've seen him act in television, like The Sopranos, and even just as an actor, he was very talented.
What about you, Jen? You're familiar with his work?
Yeah, a bunch of those films. Rest in peace, rest in paradise, enjoy the fire. I don't know what to say to people's deaths. We do this every week and you talk about people who died and I never know what to say and I'm always at a loss for words because it's the one topic I can't fix. So that's my horrible response every time.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine.
I'm sorry.
So what about
I don't know
you?
how to honor the death properly.
What about you, Roland?
Again, not I would not claim to be an expert on his filmography, but I think he certainly is representative of a class of directors you had from, I say, the 70s, you know, primarily along with like Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, you know, who really looked at the art of cinema, you know, looking at motion picture as a unique art form. So, you know, it's a loss. It's a loss. You know, when you look at the way films are made today and some of the production values and the way that the movies are put together, it is very different from the way movies were. And you know, I always when anything creative, any type of artistic style, when the people who helped carry that onward are lost, I feel that as a loss because you don't know if someone's going to come along to carry on that tradition.
Yeah.
What's interesting,
Well said.
I'm just looking up his filmography. He directed To Sir with Love 2 with Sidney Poitier.
Oh,
Oh,
wow. Huh.
interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
First of all, I didn't even know there was a sequel, but the fact that we're discussing both gentlemen and they did work together It's
One of those, yeah. One of those things.
2022 is not starting off well.
Maybe
Let's
one
just-
took the other's hand and brought him to heaven.
maybe.
Aw.
I think they
I don't
died
know.
on the same day, actually.
So
Maybe they had a pact.
January 6th.
So
Hold on.
wait, you got it. You don't got it.
They died on the same day.
There you go. So maybe Jen is
Oh,
right.
wow.
They did have a
It's
pact.
like Thomas Jefferson
Wow.
and John Adams dying on the 4th of July on the same day.
They couldn't
So-
stand another January 6th, so they're like,
That was it.
So
Yeah,
we
there you
have
go, January 6th.
so we have one more bit of sad news. So he was 82,
Oh,
by the way, if
thank
I
God.
didn't mention it. Actor and comedian Bob Saget also died
Right.
recently. As of this recording,
Right.
which is January 12th, 2022, no cause of death has been announced. In addition to his most famous roles of Danny Tanner on Full House and his sequel series Fuller House for 202 episodes, being the original host of America's Funniest Videos from 1989 to 1997 for 191 episodes, and being the voice of the older Ted Mosby on the series How I Met Your Mother from 2005 to 2014 for 208 episodes, Bob appeared in such films / TV shows as, for goodness sake, Meet Wally Spark, Half Baked. I love this cameo in that movie. Dumb and
That was a great
Dumberer.
cameo.
When Harry Met Lloyd, Farce of the Penguins, Stand Up Guy, Father and Scout, For Hope, Raising Dad, 1 vs. 100, that was the game show, Strange Days, not Stranger Days, Strange Days of Bob Saget, just to name a few. I, meaning Mark, of course, most associated him with one of my favorite movies of all time, which is Dirty Work, starring the late Norm Macdonald, who died of cancer last year. We did a whole thing about how much I love that movie. He directed that movie.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like it's a double whammy. So when we were talking about Norm Macdonald, I listened to Bob Saget talk about how sad it was to lose him, and then here we are a few months later, and then off he goes too.
I don't want to be mean, but I guess it was so sad. He's like, I'm gonna go join Norm.
It's bad. So
It's bad. Like I'm telling you, 2022 is just the same.
You're familiar.
2020s have not been good.
You're familiar
it's
with
crazy.
what was it? One of America's dads. There, Dominic.
If you grew up in the 90s like I did, there's no way that you don't know about who Bob Saget is or was.
Right.
I have to say this. I was actually very shocked when I think he was in a movie that Penn Teller did called The Aristocrats, which is about like the longest, dirtiest joke ongoing that comedians would tell each other. And then when I found out like how blue and his actual comedy was on stage,
Yes.
I was shocked because to me it was like, this is Danny Tanner. This is the
Yeah.
guy who had, who was always cleaning things up and good night, Michelle.
It's called acting.
It's
Right.
acting. Yeah, he's a fantastic actor. And then I'd see him in Entourage playing a caricature of himself, and that was even more hilarious. And one of my favorite things that he ever did, he did it with Jamie Kennedy. It was a video rolling with Bob Saget. And I actually put it on my Facebook page because I thought it was just so funny. And it's like, you go from Danny Tanner to watching that like little video with great cameos of John Stamos and George Lucas in it, and you can't help but laugh. And he was, from what it sounds like, because I've been reading up on anything that comes up about it, it's probably going to turn out to be either a heart attack or a stroke or a brain aneurysm, because it sounds like
Really?
he went to bed and he didn't wake up.
Yeah, it's
And
wild.
no
And
drugs. They say no drug paraphernalia whatsoever.
As a sad side note, he was excited about going back doing stand up, and
Yeah.
it's just his first stand up back after the
Right.
pandemic, and it's sad to see his social media that he's like, I'm so excited, and then he's dead so many hours later. It's crazy. So Jen, you
And
a
his
fan
stand
of?
up was I saw him when I was 14 in Long Island.
Wait!
there's a
You saw him
yes,
do stand up
yes,
at
I have a
14
little
years old?
yes, I have a very funny anecdote about
I
him.
think you were a little too young for that.
Yes, I was too young. I went on
Though
this
it
thing called the
explains a
Teen
lot
Tour.
about
There was like 50 kids on a bus that traveled the West Coast in Canada. Anyway, we all saw Bob Saget. I was 14. There maybe were some 13, some 15-year-olds. So simply put, there was a girl who was a bit of a floozy at 14 or 15. And somehow Bob Saget got wind of this. I'm not exactly sure how he got the information on stage. He was doing masterful crowd work. And this came out and she started crying. And I will never forget watching this girl cry because of Bob Saget being super dirty on stage. I will never forget that. R.I.P. masterful crowd work. You made a girl cry. It brought a lot of joy to a lot of teenagers at the time.
Except that girl.
Except the girl.
That's
But
just
you know,
one
cost
person.
benefit ratio, the rest of the tour was pretty amused. So hey, one
she
girl
didn't,
went
you know.
down for a lot our enjoyment, you know.
Oh,
What
Clearly.
what about you, Roland? You're a
Clearly
fan
she
of
And she went down. She went down too.
Yep.
Yeah.
what about you, Roland? You're a fan of Bob Saget's work?
You know, Full House didn't really interest me when it was on, but the thing that, you know, and I didn't know Bob Saget's stand-up until I heard some of it on Howard Stern one time. They played a little outtake, basically
wow.
on the pretext of, you know, he does a lot of blue material. And when I heard it, I was like, wow, that is a big
Mhm.
shift from Full House, which was about as bleached as you could get. But
Mhm.
you know, just anybody in entertainment, especially in modern times, that can, you know, basically anchor a sitcom, and you know, not just the one sitcom, but onward for any amount of time. That's, you know, that's work well done. So yeah, good job, Bob Saget.
He was 65.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for the sad news. So we're gonna move on to the not as
Thank
sad
God. Thank God.
news. From the middle of the end continued department. With no celebrities, hold on. With no celebrities, no red carpet, nor media coverage of any kind, the 79th annual Golden Globes took place this past Sunday, which was January 9th. And the winners of the 25 film and TV categories were announced, quote unquote, live via its Twitter account with little to no fanfare. But what didn't even that go so well, as the tweets neglected to mention what projects the people were winning for. For those of you who haven't been paying attention, NBC has
What?
severed ties with the Golden Globes due to lack of diversity in the members, and Hollywood all followed suit, with none other than Tom Cruise, quote unquote, returning his previous awards to the foreign press of who are in charge of the Golden Globes. So the Golden Globes came, nobody watched it because it wasn't televised. Nobody was there. There was no celebrities. There was nothing that happened, and then is it. So we mentioned this in an earlier show.
Wow.
Do you think that this is the end of the Golden Globes?
Oh, wow.
Well, if nobody's paying attention to it, it's kind of over already, isn't it? But wow, I didn't even know it was this past Sunday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, if people don't know you're around doing something, it's kind of already over as it is. So yeah.
So one of the
Yeah.
biggest
Doesn't sound good
award
for them.
shows
Yep.
in the award show season. This is probably like number 3.
Hmm.
Is now nothing in the span of less than
wow.
a year. How crazy
You know,
is
they should have brought little Nas X onto the scene. I think that would have livened things up, you know? You
Well, they
gotta
weren't
get some
allowed.
young
No
and hip and
celebrities.
trendy. While, you know, maybe have him tweeting about it, you know, have some
Okay.
fanfare. Yeah, he's young, he's hip, he's gay, he's bi, he's what the people want right now.
So what do you think, Dominic? You think this is it? Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, look, again, all the celebrities boycotted because there wasn't enough diversity in the Hollywood foreign press.
Yes.
Which, okay, so they never put it on. So who went to get the actual award?
Nobody accepted it. There was nobody there. It was a closed ceremony. Apparently, from the insiders, there was about 300 people in attendance, but those were all the press members or whatever. But there was nobody accepted it. Nobody presented it. They just said, "Hey, this guy won. Have some food."
So basically, the Hollywood Foreign Press did a after holiday party for itself.
Yeah, where they gave out awards,
which is great.
I mean, did they give out awards? Like they said they gave out awards, but no one
know.
was there to accept it. So did they actually?
Now I want to watch it.
I'm gonna say right now, I have an award show of best podcasts, and we get the award for it. So
well, you know, we do have the award for the best radio show you're listening to at this moment.
That's true. I got an award for best hair. What does it only matters if people feel it matters.
But that's like anything.
we've had this conversation. It's only worth what people are going to pay for it.
Yeah.
So if no one really cares anymore about the Golden Globes, if it's no longer considered culturally important as a indicator of how the Academy Awards are going to go, then it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. No one seemingly cares. So the Hollywood Foreign Press probably can save a lot of money, and they can just go to a really wonderful restaurant and just give each other a wonderful like end of the year bonus. Why not? I mean,
personally, I'm just shocked by how quickly it turned. It didn't just like decline. It went from being on the air and then it's just nothing. Like not even a live stream. We are doing more than they did.
I can't help but feel that this has to do with how brutal a roasting they got in 2020 by Ricky Gervais.
Right.
Pretty much called everyone out on all their stuff. And I can't help but feel the celebrities like, you know what? Don't want to do that again. I don't want to be told how I'm rich, powerful, come in a limo, and am hypocritical for telling you to go vegan and buy a Tesla. You know, I think
I wonder, could you imagine if that man single-handedly destroyed the Golden Globes?
I think he'd be very proud of himself.
So you think he started? I would be too. He started.
Ricky Gervais, yeah, he'd probably pat himself on the back.
I think he did, because I mean, I remember watching that monologue multiple times, and he like when he said, like, look, you know, you guys are all about you're saying you're doing this, but you work for Apple, you work for Amazon, you work for everyone who exploits, you know, the working class people. So, but like you would, if he said if Al Qaeda were to start a streaming network, you'd have your agents calling tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Well, I think, you know, they wanted Ricky Gervais because they wanted somebody cutting edge and, you know, really snarky, and they got it.
Yeah.
And, you know, in a way, to me, it was typical celebrity hypocrisy where it's okay for them to have someone exercise biting humor as long as it's not about them.
Right.
And you know, when it was about them, they didn't want to hear that. You know, and that holds true for most people. You don't want to hear your own hypocrisy, but they got an extra big helping of it on a national broadcast.
I think he connected him to Epstein in one joke.
It was he went out. He did go all out. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So we have one better. Wait, we got the last bit of news.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
All right, this one's a good one. That's why I want to make sure we got it in here.
Okay.
From the Gotta Catch 'Em All department. In 2017, a pair of LAPD officers were fired because while on duty, instead of, you know, doing their job, they were chasing Pokemon on the new, at the time, Pokemon Go game. Apparently, according to the investigation, the police officers were alleged to have played Pokemon Go for nearly 20 minutes after ignoring a request for a backup on a robbery in progress call and spent the time driving around a neighborhood capturing various Pokemon.
Hilarious.
A disciplinary hearing used a recording taken from inside a patrol car that captured a duo discussing an attempted capture of a Togepi and a Snorlax, which were apparently rare creatures to capture at the time. The officers denied that they were playing Pokemon Go and later argued that Pokemon Go wasn't a game at all and that the recording showed them capturing an image, unquote, of a Pokemon on a then active tracking app to share with other players, that their activity was just an attempt to participate in a social media event. Ultimately, the pair were charged with multiple counts of on-duty misconduct, including, quote, playing Pokemon Go while on patrol in their police vehicle and then making false statements to internal affairs detectives during the subsequent complaint investigation. The pair were found guilty by a board of rights, and most counts were subsequently fired from the department. The pair unsuccessfully argued that the use of an in-car recording was against the law, and this is how the circumstances of the firing came to light. See why we had to get
Oh
to this one?
Yeah, wow, that was better than the comment I was gonna make. I gotta say, the cops in New York City would probably be better off catching Pokemon characters than criminals, because every time they catch a criminal, they get flack. They get some type of riot. But if they were to just catch Pokemon Go, there would be no problem. So maybe this is the way that New York City NYPD should handle things.
I remember how popular Pokemon Go was.
I made a sketch comedy about it. It went viral. Yeah, I know.
So for those of you who don't know, let me just throw this in there quick.
It was the Pogs of 2016.
You had your app or your phone thing or whatever, and you went on and you walked around, and it showed an image of a Pokemon on your phone, and you had to collect it. So it actually you had to walk around your area to find these creatures, and they were all over the place. And you can actually have businesses put their creatures there to draw people to your establishment. That was the idea behind it. And the more you walked, you earn like points and stuff. And apparently people fake put Pokemon, and people went to that area and then they got robbed. And
oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was how the game was. So what do you think, Dominic?
Oh, God.
You got nothing?
I got
nothing.
Know. I really what. It just a further example. My wife and I will complain constantly and say no one wants to do their jobs, and there you go. No one wants to do their job, and this is even before the pandemic, because this is what, back in 2017.
2017, yeah, when Pokemon Go was extremely hugely popular.
Like I said, the Pogs of 2017. Like,
all right,
because no sooner was it there than it was gone.
This is true.
So I just whatever. All
right.
What do I got? I mean, what can anyone have?
All right, Roland, come on. What do you got?
I have a question.
Oh, okay. So, this is gonna be good.
Not to be anti-police, but these two particular officers drove around for 20 minutes to try to get their Pokemon. Did they ever catch the actual criminals? And did they do it in less than 20 minutes?
No, they did not. They ignored the call.
Exactly. So what does it tell you about those two officers? They probably should have never been officers in the first place.
Probably
because they don't seem to be too good at the arresting part.
I'm surprised that they were shocked that they were going to be on camera recording in their own cop car.
Well, plot twist, they were the robbers.
Yeah, when anybody says, oh, I didn't know I was being recorded, everything's recorded.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a camera. Everything's being monitored. So.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
So yeah,
always do the right thing. You're gonna get caught.
The Pokemon Go was so popular that the criminals got away, and well, at least they caught the Pokemon. At least they did catch the Pokemon.
I'm so glad they did.
Yeah.
After that, the bank put a couple of Pokemon inside the front door. So they wouldn't get robbed again. So those two cops would come by.
That's hilarious. All right, so we're ready for our break. So with that, we're going to take our break. We'll be right back with It Came From the Radio.
Okay, bye.
Hey everybody, it's Todd McFarlane of the record-setting Spawn comic series. And if you're looking for any kind of cool conversation about creators, about entertainment, about all that good stuff, you go to It Came From the Radio. You're listening to the right spot.
This is Quentin Flynn, a popular voice actor known for Axel, Jamon, and writing for the Metal Gear series. And you're listening to It Came From the Radio. Stick around.
I'm Mike Kingston, writer and creator of Headlocked, and I am WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler. And guess what you're listening to? You're listening to It Came From the Radio.
Hi, this is Amy Jo Johnson, writer-director from the film The Space Between, and you're listening to It Came From the Radio.
Grimlock having on It Came From the Radio. Greg Berger also.
Now, back to our show.
And welcome back to It Came From the Radio, the official Big Apple Con. This is your host, Mark Torres, speaking for our 52nd live show. That's a year's worth of live shows, one per week, courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library, where they have tons and tons of programming for all ages. They have, and it's all for free. That's the most important thing. All of it is free. So you just go to www.eastmeadow.info and you can sign up and register for this stuff, which is some is virtual, some is in person. They're working with the pandemic, but they have tons and tons of programming, one of which is our show. So I am here with none other than Fishy Sarcasm, Dominic Dutton, Mansparano.
Hello, everybody. Stay away from Pokemon Go. It will get you fired.
We have from D Life of Energy, Jenny Feldy.
Hello.
And from Long Island's authors, you have a Long Island author group, right? Was that what it was? Long Island author group. That's Long Island's author, Rolland Allnach.
Hello.
So we've had you actually at an earlier live show. We're actually trying to figure out which one was it. I think it was probably in the early tweens for live shows. Yeah. So what have you been up to since then till now?
Playing Pokemon, obviously.
Yeah.
Living in the bunker, staying away from people.
Say, I never played Pokemon. My kids played it, and but I never did. So. But
so your kids played it. Was it super popular? Did they running around like fools, or did you like keep on a leash so they won't go out and get robbed?
No, I remember a couple of times driving my younger son around to locations that was supposed to have some special Pokemon that they had to catch, and I always found it a little odd because you pull up to this space, park or something. And you see all these people with their head down in their phone walking around in like these odd little aimless, serpentine paths. And I just thought this is really weird. And whoever created the game, I thought, maybe they did it just to see if people would wander around aimlessly like this and get a good laugh out of it. So if so, mission accomplished. So it was a curious phenomenon, that's for sure.
So what have you been up to? Yes.
Yeah. What about you?
What about me? Well, I've always been writing. So I am up to 7 published books now, I'm happy to say. I have quite a few titles ahead of myself. I did take a little break during the pandemic, which was not so much by choice, but forced by circumstance, let's say. I've did a lot of work over the years with the Long Island Authors Group, which I was president of for 4 years, and very proud of what we were able to accomplish. One of our main missions was to help Long Islanders become aware of how many local authors are here in their communities. So to that end, we did a number of events at libraries, readings, author fairs. But one of the more recognizable things that we did, I had formulated and we put together a traveling bookstore that we took around the town fairs, and that was working great. We got great feedback on that. Really helped the group grow. Unfortunately, the pandemic came along, and without fairs, our traveling bookstore had no place to travel. But I am very happy to say that. Back in the summer, based from prior work we had done with the Islip Arts Council, our traveling bookstore became a permanent bookstore in the Islip Arts Council Gallery in the South Shore Mall. So there is a place now on Long Island, a unique bookstore that you can go to and see books entirely from Long Island authors. So very proud of that we were able to, build that up and get that in place. Currently, we have just about 200 titles from our members on the shelves. It continues to grow at this point until we get some more shelving space. We're almost maxed out. But anybody who's interested in supporting, your local creatives, people say, shop local. I like to say read local. We have really a benefit on the island. We have so much cultural output in our area, whether it's, stage, art, writing, and, now we have something from the group that people can go to and see what there is to to read from our members and see just how much there is being put out by our local authors. So it's a great opportunity, and we were very happy to, like I said, to put that together. And I think it's a real resource for people who like to read. If you're looking for something different.
Now,
One man library, one man traveling library.
That's pretty cool.
For
That's
a
really
while,
very
yeah.
And you know
impressive.
what? People are still illiterate on Long Island, so you got to work harder. No, I'm joking.
Oh,
A little
There
bit.
are some people who just don't like to read, and
Yeah,
it's a funny thing because there have been times where I've been at events and someone will stop by my table, or when I had the traveling bookstore, and they would ask me questions for 20 or 30 minutes, and then I would ask them, well, what is it that you like to read? And they would say, oh, I don't read, and walk away.
Wow, they
So,
just walk away?
yeah, they would just walk away at that point. So,
My
people
favorite
are
would-
funny sometimes.
I'd be at a Comic-Con and I'd be like, hey, you want to check out our books? And people would walk by like, oh, I don't read comics.
There you go. Well, what do you do at Comic-Con? Yeah. Yeah.
so
I feel you.
At some of the winter cons I went to, some of the other conventions, people would flat out ask me, are there pictures in your books? And I would say, no, it's it's literary narrative. And they would go, oh, and walk away.
Were they 9?
What? No, these were.
No, because when I was 7 or 8 or 9, I liked pictures of my books, and I would be a little sad if there was no pictures. So but were they 9 or were they 29?
They were 29.
Okay,
Maybe even
different.
older.
All right, well, judging.
But
I'm
I mean, I'm not gonna judge people. You like to read what you like to read, but I just think it's interesting sometimes the way people react to things. So I mean, to me, if something is well put together, if it's a quality, cohesive, artistic effort, that's got value no matter how it looks. And subject matter is obviously subjective, opinion based, but quality to me is more of an objective and absolute measure. So but yeah, people can be funny. And looking forward, I have a number of books that are completed, and right now it's a matter of choosing what I'm going to publish next. So which is kind of an odd place to be in, because normally authors say, oh, what am I going to write next for my next publication? And right now I have a couple of things in front of me that are ready to go. So
very good.
Science fiction, supernatural, paranormal, horror, along those lines, most of my work. So probably I am going to do a 2-book series. Most people do 3, but this one fits in a 2-parter called The Guide to Statesmanship, which is a very gritty, dark, dystopian, atmospheric book, set of 2 books. And finishing the proofreading now. It's dark, and I love that. It's very character driven and twisted, and it works in its own little claustrophobic bubble of emotion. So yeah, really excited to hopefully get part 1 of that out. If not by summer, then later in the year, depending how fast I can do my own proofreading.
Any plans to turn that one into an audiobook?
Well, I was going to do this on my own imprint because I wanted to do, offer it as a part 1, part 2, the 2 books individually, and then do like a compendium, the 2 of them together, possibly with a short story as a 3rd little piece that maybe would just examine a little bit deeper the characters. But to really have that kind of flexibility, I was going to use my own imprint, because then it's a lot easier to manage the ISBNs and all the internal publishing mechanics. So yeah, that's the big plan right now. So excited about that. It's nice to get back out like this. It's great to be out talking about books and doing book stuff again. And yeah, looking forward to it. So 2022 starts off on a bit of a dark note.
Yeah, really.
Looking towards a brighter note. And winter's going to end in more ways than one. So
it can't end soon enough.
Yes, exactly.
So Jen, you mentioned audiobooks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that a thing that self-publishers do?
I was gonna narrate an entire audiobook that it kind of sounds like this. It's very dark, there's mystery, it's a little sci-fi, whatever. But the reason I ask is I'm very time oriented and I spend a lot of time cleaning and etc. So whenever I'm cleaning and cooking hours and hours every week, I'm listening to audio. So for me, audio is just the way. Ever since I moved into a house, I need to listen to audio. I time to sit and flip through a book, honestly, is it's really hard.
Yeah, reading time is tough, and
Yeah.
certainly audiobooks are a huge advantage for that.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, when I've done presentations about writing and publishing, I always mention it is absolutely an option authors should look into.
Mm-hmm.
Traditional publishers, some of the small ones, certainly the larger ones, they will consider audiobook based usually on the performance of your written work. If you're in the self-publishing or if you have your own imprint, either way there, if you want an audiobook, it will probably come out of your pocket to fund it.
Right.
And it can become, a fairly costly investment.
Yeah, unless your girlfriend's the narrator, then
there
you
you
get it
go.
for
Unless your
free.
girlfriend's a
How about that?
narrator,
There you go.
That
They
is true.
always be resourceful. You can always find a
Yeah,
way to do
yeah.
things cheaply.
Hey,
Mm-hmm.
well, networking, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Networking can really elevate your life for sure.
yes.
I mean, I was actually, in terms of narrating, I was saying to someone the other day, people don't realize how hard a skill it is
Oh, it's
to
Oh
so
yeah,
hard.
read out loud and
yeah.
read well out loud. Mark makes it look easy.
He does.
Yeah,
He
Aw.
does, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a
narrating a
great
book
narrator, Mark.
it's very tough doing a book read. The small publisher that I had started with, they did two of my books. They did audiobook conversions, and the reader, he was an ex-radio guy, so he had one of those really rich,
Mm-hmm.
mellifluous radio voices.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded really great, but I found it impossible to listen to because I was
Oh,
used to hearing all those words in my head in my voice, and hearing
yeah.
somebody else read it, I just found it so jarring. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't listen to it. So,
Mm.
you know, part of the reason why I haven't really pursued audiobook with some of the other things I've done is I really would not have any, at least for me, I feel ability to look at it objectively once it was done, or more importantly, to, you know, decide if the voice I was hearing would be a good fit for my material. Because all I
Yeah.
would hear in my head is it's different from the way it sounded in my head. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and audiobooks, there's a huge market out there for them. Personally, I don't listen to audiobooks. I'm very old school when it comes to reading. I want something printed in my hands. I spend a lot of time looking at computer screens, and at work. I'm in front of computers. Everything I have to do to make my publishing happen is in front of a computer. So when it comes time to actually read, I feel like it is the one pastime I can do that involves words that doesn't require a battery or a plug
Mm-hmm.
or have a
Mm.
screen glowing at me. A book will always work. It's always on. All you have to do is flip open the pages.
I've
Mm.
said the same thing. It's hit its the peak of its evolution.
Yeah.
You cannot have power. You don't need. All you need is
Mm.
light. The only thing
Yep.
you need is light.
Yeah.
Everything else
There
is
is
perfectly self-contained.
exactly. There is a tactile experience with a book that digital reading, audiobooks just they by default don't
Yeah.
have that. Like when you get like a nice like leather clad, leather bound hardcover book, and the feel of the pages, especially when they have those like raw hempy edges on them. There's so much going on there with what you're reading. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
if it sounds like I'm way into it, I am.
My
Yeah,
thought
no,
is that
I think
you
it's very hard to get it right. It's almost impossible to get an audiobook right
Yeah.
Yeah.
to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I
my,
mean,
my
some of them, the production is, they have multiple readers, they have sound effects, but it turns into a very complex and costly process.
Right. For sure.
For most authors, especially in the self-publishing or the small publisher realm, you're going to have a single voice doing the read. Some authors do it themselves. Um, for some people that works. I know that would not work for me because when I read, I tend to read very fast. And after I read, that's when it kind of plays back in my head, and then I kind of visualize it and see it. So for me to read my own stuff would be like, an Evelyn Wood speed reading course.
Yeah, me too.
And yeah, that would really destroy it for anyone listening to it. Plus, I think there's, by in this case, digital would hold true as well. When you read a work on your own, reading that and having those words come into your head in your voice with your inflections, I think it gives you, or it gives the reader, a sense of ownership with the written word that you don't really otherwise get to have. It makes it very personal. And I think that's why some people, when they read certain books, they, it's like the teacher you had in school that influenced you, or, someone that you met in your life, the book becomes like this friend, and it's like always there with you. You've internalized it. And I think that's something really special about the written word.
Well said.
Thank you. I write better than I talk.
So my
Well,
thought
you're
is
definitely a
that
very good writer then.
my thought is that with the digital, you can't get anybody to sign your book.
Yes.
Oh.
There are actually some apps that allow you to do a digital embed. I had tried
Really?
it once. Yeah,
Wow.
I had tried it once, and I had to do my signature with my mouse. And I mean, my handwriting is chicken scratch, so I love my netbook where I do all my writing because I type everything. Because in the old days when I hand wrote everything, that sometimes I'd be sitting there and I'd be, growling, and my wife would be like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I can't read what I wrote."
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I tried doing my signature with a mouse, and it looked horrible. And I was like, well, I'm not going to bother with this. That was a few years ago. I'm sure there are things that work better now, certainly with touch screens. But I don't know, for a lot of people, when you see a touch screen signature, that doesn't look so great either. So,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, if you want a signature, really, written form is the best way to go, I think. I would certainly say that.
So since you have the books in Suffolk County, correct?
Yes, it's the South Shore Mall is located in Bayshore on the North Service Road of Sunrise Highway.
What is the
spot?
What is the criteria to have your book on there? Like, you have to be from Long Island, you have to be self-published, and it has to be good, or just 2 out of those 3?
You have to be Muslim. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, the way it works, the bookstore is run by the Long Island Authors Group. So to be in the bookstore, you have to be a member of Long Island Authors Group. So we manage it and finance it, and we have the agreement with the ISOP Arts Council. That's the first factor. If you're interested in joining the Long Island Authors Group, you have to be a published author. We don't discriminate between self-published or traditional published, but we do require that you have print copies available of your book. So ebooks only would not be considered. And the reason we do that, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, not so much, but obviously for the bookstore, we need print copies of people's books. All of our events that we do, the town fairs we go to, book signings, obviously that's all for, physical books. So that will be a requirement. Residents in Nassau, Suffolk County, we had toyed with the idea of expanding to Queens, but again, when the pandemic hit, it was more of, how do we keep the group running, period, as opposed to trying to expand it. And we do have a review panel of authors. So every author who submits one of their published books, the book is read in full, which I think is a nice perk to our group. So that if you're handing in your book, it will get the entire read and will be judged based on its entirety, not a chapter excerpt or 2 pages from the middle of the book, something like that. And really the main point of the review read is to make sure that the book complies with basic publishing standards, that it is properly edited, formatted, page numbers, the basic stuff like that. As far as content, we try not to judge on content because it is subjective. However, if we do receive something that is abrasive, that is discriminatory, that is, basically projecting some type of negative message at its core, certainly that will, probably factor into a rejection because we don't want to promote hatred. There's enough of that going around today. So,
Makes sense.
but yes, and that's basically it. And then, once you pass through and you're accepted, all your books are eligible for the bookstore. You're eligible for all of our events. We are a merry little group of creative people. We were up to 100 members before the pandemic. We have since rebuilt. I believe we're at 67 members right now. We did have some people who, sort of resigned from their publishing efforts because they didn't see how they could go out and really, pursue it as they had before. But, we're hoping the having the bookstore, and when we make our first tentative steps to go out doing events come the spring, situations permitting, that some more people will come back in. For me personally, I find it very upsetting when someone throws in the towel, for lack of a better expression, simply because I know, even for someone who's only done one book, the emotional commitment, the time commitment, the total commitment, and not just of the individual, but usually their intimate family members around them, the time they took away from that to do this, and the support they received to do it, to see someone basically shelve that effort, that bothers me. So always try to encourage people to stick with it. Publishing is a very tough business. Anybody who's been in it for any amount of time will certainly tell you that. And even A-list authors sometimes have events that are duds that really don't work out for them. But it's really just a matter of perseverance. You got to stick to your guns, do what you believe, develop your craft, work your way through it, and you learn along the way. And the experiences I've had, the people I've met, I wouldn't trade that or give that up for anything at this point. It's been such an enriching experience. You can't put a price tag on that part of it.
All right, so we are about social media time. So where can people find out more about yourself, the the group, and Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that fun stuff? Go.
Okay, we are on Facebook at Long Island Authors Group. You can also find me on Facebook at Roland Allnach, ROLANDALLNACH, just like it says on the little Zoom window there. I am also on Goodreads. You can find me there as well. My website is rolandallnach.com. So pretty easy to find me. The authors group, as I said, we are also, we have our Facebook, Long Island Authors Group, and we also have our website, longislandauthorsgroup.org. So you can find this there. We do not sell books directly through the website, but every author has an informational page with purchase links for their books. So if you find something you're interested in, you have a safe and secure purchase route from known vendors, Amazon and whatnot, that you can follow. But also you can learn a lot about the members of the group and the things we write. So a lot of good stuff there.
So do you have an award show that no one goes to and you don't publicize?
It was last week. You didn't know? No, I'm just kidding.
It got more views than the Golden Globes.
Yeah. We would have platinum globes, but
So we have about 5 minutes left. Jen, you have another question?
What's your favorite thing to write about and why?
My favorite thing to write about, in general, I like to take the things that are most valuable to me, give them to a character, and then blow them apart. So because
interesting.
one, it's cathartic. And because these are things such as, family stability, things that I've really come to treasure in my life, certain things that in younger times, I never thought I would have in my life, having, been able to get these things in my life. I find it very interesting to take characters and project if things have been different. So, life is a product of the decisions you make in many ways.
Sure. It
And
is a product of the decisions you make. Yes.
yes. And I think as you move forward in life and look back, you see all those forks in the road that could have led you astray. And, to me, every one of those is a why question. Why was this that way? What would have happened if things went that way? And they're all things to explore with characters. I'm a big fan of like Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, all the classic literature because it's very introspective. And I really like to dig into my characters. My characters propel my story. So yeah, if there's one guiding theme, it's deconstructing things that in some ways we may take for granted in our lives. Stability, moral centers, things like that.
I'm going to follow that model and write a short story about my water pick being stolen because that's my most prized possession. Carry on.
Okay.
So,
A world without my water pick, what would happen?
well, you are a Long Islander, so you can join and be part of have your book published.
Yeah, I have a health guidebook. Maybe it'll be accepted. I don't know.
There you go. See?
Get your published book, send it on in. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So we're almost out of time. So Dominic, do you have a quick question before we get to our final thoughts?
No.
All right. So then, Dominic, do you have a final thought?
Yes. Go to the bookstore, buy books. Books are good. We need more bookstores.
Book good.
Book good.
Book good. Absolutely.
Yes, book good. That's from authors and writers. Book good. Yeah,
I'm well read. Book good.
You know what?
Yes.
You know what? People underestimate the value of the word "duh." It's so concise. Instead of saying, "Well, I think that's an amazing idea," that's very wordy. How about just "duh"? Duh sounds concise. Concise is good.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs would agree. Simplicity is genius. Duh is genius. Thank you. I'm out.
So that was your final thought.
5 words. What 3 words can do.
So, Roland, do you have a final thought for us?
A final thought?
Yes.
Stay safe and things will get better. We just need to be patient. So.
All right. So my final thought is this. Roland, thanks again for being a guest on our 50-second live show. Maybe, so maybe another 2 or 3 years, you come back again.
Yeah.
And we'll actually be in the library.
Yeah, that would be nice.
2030.
Yeah, exactly. So that about does it for this week on It Came From the Radio. Join us right here and every week on this radio station. If you missed any part of this show, go to our website, www.itcamefromradio.com, our brand spanking new website. And you can see the archives, you can see old stuff, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Our next live show, courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library, which will be our 53rd live show with filmographer, photographer, videographer, Michael Zinn will be our guest on February the 9th. And I believe that's it. Yeah. So make sure you go to www.eastmeadow.info and we will see you next time.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
You've been listening to It Came From the Radio with Mark Torres. The views of the show's hosts and guests did not necessarily reflect that of the management, owners, or staff of the station. We now return you to your earthly scheduled broadcast.
Okay.